Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Better Learning Podcast. This is Mark Barga, and I'm here with Dr. Greg Taranto from Canon-McMillan School District. Greg, thank you for joining us.
Great to have you, Mark.
Greg, let's get started with you sharing a little bit of your biography with our audience here. How did you get to be an educational leader, and sort of what's that journey been like for you?
Well, I have a unique background because I didn't start out in education. I was actually in healthcare as a cardiac rehab therapist. I always wanted to be a teacher. I didn't go down that route initially. So working as a cardiac rehab therapist for a few years, I'm married to a teacher, and my wife encouraged me to go back to school. That's what you really wanted to do. So I went back to school, got my second master's in education, and was fortunate enough to student teach in the Canon-McMillan School District. I had little knowledge about the Canon-McMillan. Wasn't from the area. I was here one time for a track meet when I was in ninth grade. And I remember them having a cinder track, and I wiped out on the cinder track. So that's all I knew about Canon-McMillan. But again, fortunate enough, was placed here. And after a week being in Canon-McMillan, loved the school district, loved the community, and was fortunate enough then to be hired as a science teacher that summer to start teaching in this school district. So I taught middle school science, eventually taught fifth grade math and science, and then went back to the middle school as an assistant principal. Later then principal. So I did that almost 20 years, then moved on to assistant to the superintendent for grades K through 6. And now I'm starting my second year as a superintendent.
That's exciting. And for folks unfamiliar with Canon-McMillan, we are in the greater Pittsburgh metropolitan area, though Canon-McMillan sits fairly outside of the city. So you have an interesting location in that you're somewhat suburban, somewhat rural, and also in proximity to a greater urban environment as well.
We're not too far from Pittsburgh at all. We're a 25, 30-minute drive from Pittsburgh, but we're outside enough to be in that suburban setting. Absolutely.
Yes, sir. So you are in the process of building a new elementary building for the district, which is extremely exciting, Weilandville Elementary. I would love to sort of get into the weeds on this project, right? This isn't just a replacement building. Right. This is much more than that. It's tied to full day kindergarten and long-term district growth. So talk about like what educational shifts made this project somewhat essential for the district rather than sort of an optional move.
Yeah, absolutely essential. And it goes beyond just space, if you will. So we obviously, we're growing. We're one of the fastest growing school districts in this side of the state, hands down. We've built a number of projects, and this is the next one in line. In order to house that many students, we needed a bigger facility. But also, it's going to give us opportunity to do two things. One is to have full day kindergarten, which I can get to. But two is also to provide better balance classroom sizes, not only at our new site, but also across the district. So once our new Weilandville Elementary Center is completed, we will do a redistricting process that will move or shift population from Hills Hendersonville to Muse Elementary, from Muse to South Central Elementary, from South Central to New Weilandville. We will close Old Weilandville and we'll close Borland Manor. Those populations will naturally shift over to the new Weilandville project. So once we do that, it will allow us to better balance, because right now we don't have balanced classroom size because of logistics in the district. But this will allow us to balance our classrooms at K-4, and also allow us then to open up space across those elementary buildings to provide for the first time ever full day kindergarten. So right now we're half day kindergarten. So our students are learning roughly about 2 hours, 45 minutes. We're going to move to a full day kindergarten schedule once that's across the entire district once New Weilandville is opened.
And the research on early childhood education through pre-K and the kindergarten is so overwhelming, right? I mean, it indicates such positive outcomes and can change the trajectory of students in so many positive ways. Why was full day kindergarten, why does Canon-McMillan see that as such a transformational change?
As you mentioned, it's important. The sooner we can get those students in our classrooms, the better. Because I'll give you one example here is our literacy development program. We revamped our literacy development, and we have an unbelievable literacy program right now, seeing awesome numbers. But we know if we can get to those students sooner, spend more time with those students sooner, we can put our interventions in place sooner for those students that struggle reading or don't have the same supports as other students have at home. So the sooner we have those students in our classroom, the more we can do with them. When we go to full day kindergarten, we want to make sure we do it right. And it can't look like first grade. Yeah, we know kindergartens are different. We do not want it to look like first grade. So next year, we're putting a task force in place that will be led by our assistant to superintendent through K through 6, Dr. Avidanza. And it will be a team of kindergarten teachers. And we know we want kindergarten to look different. We know we want not only recess and lunch, but we want structured play. It will allow us to do some other core academics that we can't do now, like social studies and science, obviously. But it's going to look different. Activity and play is going to be a big part of that. What they experience in the classroom, what the classroom looks like, has to look different than first grade and on.
So this is a significant building that's being built here. It's large, square footage close to 150,000 square feet. It's a significant footprint, right? How do you design a building, right? So now take me back into the design process, if you will, Greg. How do you design a building that feels both, that has to have the capacity it does, but still feels personal and supports the instructional and developmental goals for these young learners?
That's important. So we're moving from small elementary buildings. Old Lymanville right now, Wylandville, we call it Old Lymanville, is a small elementary building. Borla Manor is a small elementary building. So we still want that feel. That's important to have that feel. Our teachers want, our staff want it, our parents want that, and we want that. So how do you do that? It's going to be a much larger building. You're going to have a capacity of up to 1,000 students. We won't have that in initial years, but we have some growth built in there. But you're going to have 800 plus students in that room, that building. Just the same as we did over Muse, we take a school within a school concept. So you have neighborhoods, if you will, concept there where we want to make sure our first graders are all together. And when you go to the first grade hall room, classroom, you're together as first graders. We want to make sure we have a team atmosphere. And teaming is important because the teachers work together. They work together as a team. The staff works together. So you're all part of the team. Everyone knows each other. They know their kids. They support one another. So having that school within a school concept, we've done it. It works. We're going to do it you're not going to be one child of 1,000. You're going to be one of, 20 some in a classroom. You're going to have still that intimate feel of being part of a smaller set, if you will, a smaller school within a school.
I think this is really important because, as you've mentioned now a few times, the district is growing, right? Which is a positive indicator from many different aspects. Now, importantly, when a new building is built and a district is growing, there can be a tension, right, between expansion for the sake of expansion, but what you don't want, and I hear you saying, you don't want to dilute the student experience and the quality of the education that's delivered here, and importantly, the culture of the district and the school. So can you talk a little bit about how you think about expanding and scaling, which means adding staff, adding buildings, all the things that you'll need to do, but also preserving that thing that's special and distinctive about the district from a student experience, from a family experience? Talk a little bit about how you can grow without losing that special thing.
Well, I think it goes back to making sure our curriculum, our resources are all standardized across the school district. So if I go back 3 years ago when I first started out at the K-6 level, assistant superintendent, the one thing I noticed was when I went to one of our smaller buildings versus one of our largest building, Muse, is the resources weren't consistent. The curriculum, the manner in which the curriculum was being implemented was not consistent. So I think that's where you start out with. Make sure across the board that if you're a student at Wylandville or if you're a student at Hills Henderson Elementary, that everyone's learning the same thing. Everyone has access to the same resources. The teachers are working together, not only across their building, but across the school district. So everything's the same. I think that's where it starts. That's kind of your foundation. From there, it's ensuring that the principals at those buildings, the teachers are working together with other buildings. Parents have access to information across the building, what's going on. That's why right now we have a big social media presence as far as getting the word out, what's going on. But our website's been revamped. making sure everyone's on the same level playing field, if you will, no matter what school you're going to. Those things are important.
Let's talk a little bit about the financial stewardship aspect of this project, right? Because as a superintendent of a school district overseeing capital projects, you're in a role not just as educational leader, but as essentially, someone who's helping navigate the complex process of bonds and taxes and investment. And that requires a level of transparency, of course, high ethical standards, but also great communication with the district. How have you been able to build consensus and support in the school district for such an important project?
The community knows we're growing. I mean, they're moving in here in droves. So they understand that our facilities before could not handle what's moving into our buildings now. So they know there's a need to grow. But we also have a lot of community members that have been here forever, and they were here when it was a smaller school district, and now they're here when it's larger. It starts with excellent fiscal management, and that was well before I even started. So it's being fiscally responsible and ensuring that we are putting funds towards these construction projects. So it's having a extensive plan in place. We have a 5-year plan, but it's looking out. So, okay, if our next project after Wymanville is going to be expansion on our Hills-Hendersonville Elementary, we know when we're going to start that process. So we have to know now, are we going to start dedicating funds to that project? We can't wait till that year to say, okay, let's start planning Hills-Hendersonville and let's open up a bond. That's not how it works. So you make sure you have funds saved towards that project before you even start talking about bonds. You don't want to borrow that entire project, because that debt will not only hurt you now, but it's going to hurt you 30 years from now. So it's a balance between not mortgaging your future, but also not mortgaging your present. And right now we have that balance. I would say that we are slanted towards mortgaging or putting a lot towards the future, but sacrificing our current students. Now we're at a point where we're investing in the future, but also we're investing in today's students. We want to make sure all our facilities are nice. We're maintaining our maintenance across those buildings. We just went through a high school refresh project, painting, new lighting. So we want to take care of today's students, but also look to the future. So good, solid fiscal management. Also communicating and sharing with the public what we're doing, what our plans are and what we're doing, what it looks like. It's through our Canon-McMillan impact report we sent out this year to our entire community, our stakeholders, the business and area. What are we doing now to benefit not only our students, but also the community? What are our students going on when they graduate? What are our finances? Okay, this is how much we save towards Wymanville. This is how much we have to borrow. This is how much of a financial hit we'll take. And this is how much we have to take in local revenue-wise to fulfill that debt. So being transparent, being open is important too. And once people see what you're doing, when they see a building, it's better. Like when they're not seeing a building, we're not seeing things, it's hard. But but when they see a brand new middle school and they see what we did for it in the community and allowing the community to use it, use the facilities, the fields, they see the value in that investment for them in the future.
When we work with schools at K-12, it's not just about furniture or design. It's about impact. Our radically student-centered approach puts students at the center of every decision. From that first conversation to the final walkthrough, we're focused on creating spaces that actually work for the kids, the teachers, and the community. So if you're looking to do more than just check a box on your next project, let's talk. Visit K12.com. That's KAY-TWELVE.com and see how we're helping schools transform learning one student at a time. Because at K-12, it's not just about projects and furniture, it's about purpose.
I want to pivot to talk about the teachers. I'm a long-term educator myself, passionate about the craft of teaching. Talk to me about the faculty in this district that are going to be the ones holding up this instructional practice, this school culture, both preserving the legacy of what's happened here, but also, sort of charting the future. Talk to me about the teachers and some of the work that's going on at the school level, at the district level, to get faculty prepared for another change. Change can be hard, as we know, right? How do we get teachers excited, and how do we tap into the best of teachers' passion for delivering instruction and connecting with students and making that impact. Talk to me about just your big picture for how the faculty change strategy is developing.
Very, very much teacher-centered, and that's been part of our core principles and values we have adopted as an admin team. Having been a teacher in the district, having been a principal for almost 20 years, knowing what it feels like to be at that building level and what kind of supports that building level needs is essential. So I have that background experience. We have awesome teachers here. I mean, phenomenal teachers. And I'm not just saying that. We have amazing teachers. There's amazing teachers everywhere. But here we have a special group of teachers. And obviously the center of everything we focus on is our students. So it's the student. But who's in the game with the students? Teacher. Yeah, the teachers, staff, those people are constantly in the game with it. So as an admin team or a tech department or a maintenance department, the rest of us are on the outside. How can we support the people in the game? How can we support the teachers so they have them? Because they're with the students each and every day. I cannot reach 800 students, 1,000 students. I cannot reach 5,500 students personally as an administrator. A principal can't reach 800,000 students as a principal of their building. But they reach those students by supporting the teachers, the 80 or 90 teachers in the building that support the kids. You have to focus on the adults. What are their needs? How can they best do their job? So when it comes to a new construction project, they have to be part of that. They have to be part of that process from the ground up. So I'll go back to the middle school. So the middle school, from the design process up, they were part of that process. What are your ideas? What are things look like? What, color designs from this? We're sitting in this beautiful middle school library, and our librarian was very much a part of the design or why this looks like the way it looks like. If you could design a classroom or you could design a space, what would it look like? And you'll see that all around our middle school here. If you go to our family consumer science, our art room, it was the experts or the teachers that do this day in, day out that had integral input on that process. So it's making sure they have that input on that. When we looked at furniture, designs of classroom furniture, they were part of that. We made sure we got their input. What did you like here? We brought samples in, looked at, they want to design there. So if you're leaving your teachers out, you're losing a big part of this.
Really well said. And in a lot of ways, teachers provide data from students, right? That's one of the things they report up on, right? Tell me about how the faculty here are also a voice for the kids and how the kids have given voice to this process. I mean, what have you heard about students are young, but as we know, they still possess great insights. So how have the kids that are going to be moving into this new building been a part of the design, and how is the realities of what they experience and what you want them to experience been a part of it?
I think if you have a space that's designed around the student, the educator, it's going to bring that natural feel to, they're going to feel welcomed. You walk into this building, again, it's only a couple years old. It's bright. If you talk to the teachers here, you'll see that I think they would, pretty much the consensus would be that students feel special when they come here. When they come up from move up day, they feel special. So like, wow, look at this environment. Yeah, this is for you. And we want you to give your maximum when you're here. We want you to give you the best so you can become the best version of yourself. They feel special. We're blessed to be in a situation where we can do these types of things for our students in this community. We have the resources to do it, and we should do it as a result. They deserve the absolute best experience possible.
Well, let me follow up on that. When these doors open is it 27, the school will open?
Yeah, so our goal is finish Wylandville in 2027. We'll move old Wylandville into new, but we won't redistrict yet. That'll allow us then to demolish old Wylandville, finish that part of the project. That summer we redistrict, and then the rest of the population will go into the new Wylandville.
Understood. When these families walk into this school for the first time with their kids, what do you hope they experience upon entry into the new Wylandville Elementary School?
We want them to have that wow factor. We want to see their eyes look wow. Like, I think when you walked in here, as soon as you walk into this building, it's like, wow, this is a nice space. This is a nice school. You had that feeling. People have that feeling as soon as they walk in this building. Obviously, that's not what it's all about. But I could tell you, having worked in a very old building and bringing this staff into a new building, I wanted very, very much for our facilities to match what was going on in the classroom. I know we had top-notch instruction going on, but the facilities didn't match it. So when people walk in here, yeah, you have top-notch instruction going on, and those facilities tell you right away you do as soon as you walk in that building.
Space is so important, right? A learning environment, architecturally with respect to transfer of light, acoustics, as you said, the furniture, everything that goes into space creates more possibility for incredible teaching and thus amazing learning experiences, right? So now let's jump out 5 years from now, right? So the school's been open, it's humming. You walk back in there, Greg, how are you going to know that this was a successful school design project? What are the indicators you look for?
Well, we want to make sure the spaces are being utilized for what they're designed to be. If we have, for example, we have team spaces. We have team spaces here. We have team spaces designed for New Wylandville. We don't have team spaces in our Muse Elementary project. But when we brought the team space concept here, and a team space is just it's a larger area. You could fit more than one classroom in. The idea is, okay, let's bring multiple classrooms into an area for cross collaboration. Let's make sure those spaces look different than a classroom. Let's make sure those spaces have different furniture. So, hey, if these two teachers want to do something uniquely different, let's make sure we have some flexible, some more comfortable furniture, whatever your design is, whatever your cooperative learning experience is. So are those spaces being utilized for what they were designed for? Are we upkeeping what they should? Do the kids look happy, engaged? They want to be there. Do the teachers look happy, engaged? They want to be there. They feel like they're a part of it. So I think you look for all those types of things.
Before we close, there's one feature to this new building that I think is important that maybe speaks to that first day experience, but also that 5-year out experience. And that's the outdoor learning spaces that you guys have designed for the district. Talk to me. What does outdoor learning look like? And what do you hope these spaces really help the teachers and the students experience and achieve?
Just being outdoors alone is important. I'm not sure people understand the importance, the health benefits of being outside, especially in today's overabundance of technology, kids being on screens excessively, not only at home, but in schools. So at our elementary level, we've scaled back on screen time. So at our K-4 especially, we've scaled back on screen time. But if you look at the research and what literature out there is showing more and more is, it's so important for kids to be outside. Just being outside in the sunlight changes mood, changes attention span. Running around activity, obviously the benefits of activity for the cardiovascular system is important, but also for brain development. We know that when kids run around outside, they have nice spaces to run outside, they re-engage, their neurons are being stimulated, and stimulated neurons are learning neurons. So having those brain cells stimulated, we want that. So we need kids to be outside. We want them to have that sunshine, that activity. So we have multiple different spaces outside designed for our New Wylandville to allow kids to do that, allow teachers to go out, not only for like a learning, sitting down for classroom space, but also to run around and get active. That's so important, especially with today's kids. They need to be outside. They need to be running around. Having that structured and unstructured playtime is important. And we'll have that at our New Wylandville Center.
It's one of the hardest balances to strike is as you said, the overabundance of technology and especially screens, hyper engaging screen activities for kids, where we want students to learn how to harness those tools. But importantly, as you said, it's been such a pendulum swing, an overcorrection. And so it's one of the hardest balances to strike. And I'm heartened to hear that you guys have given that type of thought to the types of appropriate development that kids need, which is social contact, screen-free time, deep learning, connected learning, and outdoor learning as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's again at the elementary level. If we can do something with a hard book or a workbook, pencil, they're doing it. Yeah, less screen time, the better. Getting them active and moving. That's why all your related arts classes are so important, because you're definitely not going to have that screen time when you're in those related arts classes. And even in traditional classrooms, we want less screen time. And those outdoor spaces, integral part of that philosophy of Canon-McMillan.
Yeah. Greg, it's been an absolute pleasure. I want to thank you for coming on the Better Learning Podcast.
Thank you for having me, Mark.
I wish you all the best. Take care.
The Better Learning Podcast is produced by Matt Rogers and edited by Kelly Jones. The views and opinions shared on this podcast are those of the individual speaking and do not necessarily represent the perspectives of their affiliated companies, organizations, or associations.